I'm Patrick Bocking, Superintendent of Schools with School District 46. I am so pleased to be welcoming our students and our staff back to their schools in September. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of our staff in the last few months of the last school year. It was an incredible challenge to take everything they knew about learning in schools and try to make it work in a remote learning environment. I also want to acknowledge the incredible work of the parents of our students and the students themselves in trying to make sense of this all. What does it look like as a student to be at home learning? What does it look like as a parent to figure out how to support your children? Everybody did the best that they could in the circumstances that they were given. And I believe that as a team, we did very well, indeed. Now we're going into the next stage. It's September, and we're coming back to school. We have very stringent health and safety protocols that were developed with Vancouver Coastal Health, the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Education. You can find all of those safety plans on our website at sd46.bc.ca. I encourage you to take a look. Our students will be trained on those protocols on Thursday and Friday of that first week back in school, and your principal will send you an outline about when your child can come to school for that support. We will begin school full-time on Monday, September 14th. Early learning programs, Strong Start, kindergarten. Watch also for messages from your school principal about those important programs for our youngest learners. I'd like to briefly talk about the stages that we are going to be working within. Stage 1 is pretty much school as we've always known it. Back to school with no particular restrictions. Presumably that would be when we have some kind of a vaccination that prevents us from acquiring COVID-19. We're moving into stage 2 in September. That means that our students are going to be in learning groups. And those are groups that will be working with a given number of staff, usually the teacher, perhaps an educational assistant, and that group. And they will move together as a group, and others won't be a part of that group unless they maintain this 2-meter distance or they put on a face mask. Of course, there are hand washing stations, the sinks themselves, and hand sanitizing stations throughout the school, which students will be expected to use regularly. At the secondary level, students will be expected to wear masks anytime that they're in a situation where they're not able to maintain the 2-meter distance that we know is so important. So in hallways, school buses, offices, those kinds of places. At the secondary level, the cohort can be as big as 120. And the reason for that is even while classes is the functional unit, there needs to be an opportunity because of the way secondary school is structured for students to come in and out. And what the expectations are with those learning groups is that those students need to physically distance. That's not gone away, just not to the same degree because they are the same group. And the reason for that is that lessens the number of people who are coming into contact with those students, and it allows that those students, should there be any infection at some point in the future, contact tracing is a manageable piece of work that the Ministry of Health would be able to do. I appreciate that guidance from the Ministry of Health so that we have some understanding about how to manage in this pandemic. We don't know how long it's going to last. This might be for this year. It might be for the next year as well. We simply don't know. And that's why it's so important that we do this well. We are being extremely thorough in terms of how we're cleaning, how we're staying sanitized, how we are meeting, and how stringently we're following the directions from the Ministry of Health. Under the Stage 2 mandate that the Ministry has provided for us, our principals are going to be organizing their schools based on the assumption that all of their students are returning to school. However, we do know that some parents may prefer not to send their children just yet. If that's the case for you, please connect with your child's principal and let them know that your child will be absent. We are investigating at the district level some sort of transition resource package that will support parents who choose to keep their children home for this time. In order to provide as many options as we can for our families, we are looking into a distance learning program for students in kindergarten to grade 9. Through a program of this type, parents would register in the distance learning program rather than in their neighborhood school. Our transportation department is looking into what we need to do to make sure that our buses are safe during this pandemic time. Accordingly, we will be encouraging parents who are able to have their children walk to school, take their bicycles, or get a ride in the family vehicle. Also, we may need to ask courtesy riders and riders who are cross-boundary to find alternative methods to get to school. Again, please do go to the website if you have any questions about that, and you'll find lots of answers. If you don't find the answers you're looking for, please email us at questions@sd46.bc.ca. I would like to thank all of you for your patience and understanding as we work through this challenging time together. Thank you. Stay well.